It's 6:45 on a Monday morning in Mississauga. Your alarm goes off the way it always does. You lie there for a second, staring at the ceiling, already running through the list. Emails, meetings, the drive, the same 45 minutes of traffic you've done 1,000 times before. Maybe you've already done this math in your head 100 times, half jokingly, while sitting in traffic. And somewhere across town, in a quiet condo overlooking the lake, another person wakes up at the exact same time. No alarm, no emails, no traffic. They make coffee, sit by the window, and watch the sun come up over the water. Same city, same Monday. Two completely different lives. The only difference between you and them is a number. Just one number. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what that number is for you. For years, never work again has sounded like something only lottery winners or trust fund kids get to say. But here's the truth nobody tells you. It is not a fantasy. It is math. It is a specific dollar figure sitting at the end of a very simple formula. And once your portfolio crosses that line, your job becomes optional. Not impossible to keep. Optional. Let's find your line. First, we need to define what never work again actually means, because it is not the same number for everyone. Think of it in 3 tiers. The first tier is the baseline tier.
This covers your absolute essentials: housing, food, utilities, insurance. For a paid-off Canadian household, that typically lands around $40,000 a year. The second tier is the comfortable tier. This is where most people actually want to live. Dinners out, a vehicle that isn't falling apart, a trip somewhere warm every year. That usually runs around $65,000 a year. Picture it concretely: a paid-off home, groceries without flinching at the receipt, a getaway to somewhere warm every winter, and a car that starts every morning without drama. And the third tier is the abundant tier. Real travel, generosity, no second-guessing a big purchase. That's closer to $100,000 a year or more. 40, 65, 100. Hold those 3 numbers, because we're about to turn each one into a portfolio size. Here's the formula the entire Vanguard industry built itself on. It's called the 4% rule. You take your total portfolio, and in year 1, you withdraw 4% of it. Every year after that, you adjust that withdrawal for inflation. Historically, a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds can sustain that withdrawal rate for 30 years or more without running dry. So if you flip that formula around, here's what it tells you. To generate $65,000 a year at a 4% withdrawal rate, you need a portfolio of $1,625,000. That's your comfortable tier number. For the baseline tier of $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. And for the abundant tier of $100,000 a year, you need $2.5 million. 1 million, 1.625 million, 2.5 million. Those are your 3 lines in the sand. Now, some of you are dividend-focused investors, and you might be doing this math slightly differently, using yield instead of withdrawal rate. A solid Canadian dividend portfolio, banks, pipelines, telecoms, can realistically yield around 5% today. At 5%, that $65,000 comfortable lifestyle only requires $1,300,000. Slightly less than the 4% rule, because you're spending the dividend income without touching the underlying shares at all. Either approach works. The 4% rule is more flexible across asset types. The dividend approach feels psychologically safer to many Canadians because you're never selling anything. Pick the one that lets you sleep at night. So how long does it actually take to get there? Let's put this in real terms. If you're starting from zero today, and you can consistently invest $1,500 a month into a balanced portfolio averaging 7% annual returns, you'd cross that $1 million baseline number in roughly 23 years. Push that to $2,500 a month, and you cross the $1.625 million comfortable number in about 22 years as well, because the larger contributions accelerate the compounding. Start in your late 20s or early 30s, and never work again becomes a realistic target for your mid to late 50s. Start in your 40s, and the math gets tighter, but it isn't impossible. It just means the savings rate has to do more of the heavy lifting, because time is doing less of it.
But the number on the spreadsheet isn't the whole story.
Where that money lives matters just as much as how much of it there is. In Canada, you've got 3 accounts working for you, and using them in the right order changes everything. The TFSA is your tax-free zone. Every dollar that comes out, whether it's growth, dividends, or interest, comes out completely untouched by the CRA. As of 2026, if you've been eligible since it started, you're sitting on close to $95,000 of cumulative room. The RRSP is tax-deferred. You got a deduction going in. Your money grew untouched for decades, but withdrawals are taxed as regular income. And the non-registered account is where Canadian dividends get their special tax credit treatment, letting you pull meaningful income at a remarkably low effective tax rate. The smartest version of Never Work Again pulls from all 3 in sequence. TFSA first for tax-free flexibility, non-registered next for tax-advantaged dividend income, and RRSP last, drawn down carefully to avoid pushing yourself into a higher bracket or triggering an OAS clawback later. Now for the villain of this story, because every Never Work Again number has enemies hiding inside it. The first is inflation. At 3% a year, the purchasing power of your $65,000 today shrinks to roughly $43,000 in just 15 years. That's why your number has to grow with you, not sit frozen on a piece of paper from the year you quit. The second enemy is sequence of returns risk. If the market drops 30% in your first year of freedom, and you're still pulling your full withdrawal out of a portfolio that just got smaller, you can permanently damage the rest of your plan, even if the long-term average returns are perfectly fine. And there's a third enemy lurking further out, long-term care. In Canada, private long-term care can run anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000 a month, depending on the province and the level of care. A portfolio that comfortably covers a $65,000 lifestyle in your 60s can get squeezed hard in your 80s if a few years of care get added on top. This is part of why financial planners often suggest building in that 10 to 15% buffer we just talked about, rather than retiring at the exact bare minimum number. This is also why most people who hit their number don't quit on the exact day they cross it. They build in that cushion first.
And that brings us to the part of this that has nothing to do with math at all. Plenty of Canadians cross their number and keep showing up to work anyway. Not because they need the money, but because they don't know what Tuesday morning looks like without an office to go to. The portfolio solves the money problem. It does not automatically solve the identity problem. The people who actually walk away and thrive are the ones who figure out before they quit what they're walking toward. A project, a hobby that became half a business, a reason to get up that has nothing to do with a paycheck. So let's go back to that condo by the lake. The person sitting there with their coffee isn't living a fantasy. They crossed a specific, calculable line. Maybe it was $1 million. Maybe it was $1.625 million. Maybe it was 2.5. Your number might be smaller than your neighbor's or bigger. That's not a competition. It's just math applied to your life. The number is real. It's knowable. And right now, today, you can calculate your own. The gap between you and that person isn't talent, and it isn't luck. It's a number, a plan, and the patience to let your money cross that line before you do. If this helped you figure out your number, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.